Hello everyone, welcome back to another Deciphering Paganini video. Today we continue with number 20. This Caprice is a fairly simple one. It's actually probably the easiest one out of all 24, and if you're having trouble deciding which one to start with, I strongly recommend this one as your first Caprice. My very first Caprice was number 5. It wasn't the original bowing, it was separate bow. Even though it was incredibly fun, I don't really recommend it because the amount of frustration and struggle that you're gonna go through is something else. I managed to get through it only because I was young and stupid and also very stubborn, so I got through it somehow, and then later on I learned the original bowing. But if I was given the choice to choose my first Caprice again, I would have chosen something else, not number 5. Anyway, the structure of this Caprice is pretty simple. It's the same as number 19. It's ABA. You start off with this dolce section, and then you go into this trill section, and then after that you go da capo until fine at the end, so you go back to the beginning to dolce. So structurally it's a very simple one. The dolce section, I tend not to do too much vibrato because I really like this simple melody, and I think you don't need to do too much to embellish it. So this is how I practiced it. Keeping it very calm and very sweet. Dolce means sweet. Now, of course, if that's not to your taste, you can add vibrato as much as you want. Also, but personally, I just like to keep it simple. And maybe it's just a lazy man way of playing it, but I like to just keep it simple. Then when it comes to the long bow double stops, just keep your bow very still. When you play double stops, the misconception is because you're playing 2 strings, you need to press harder. That's not the case. All you have to do is balance the bow on 2 strings at the same time. You don't even need pressure because the bow itself have a weight, and that weight is enough to make 2 strings vibrate. You just have to balance the bow. So if I have to demonstrate it, I'm just going to use the weight of the bow itself. I'm not pressing or anything. So yeah, the weight of the bow itself can already create double stops, so you don't need to go press harder. And just keep the bow speed slow, balance the bow on A string more because the melody is on A string. And it's a great exercise for you to practice intonation because D string is acting as a drone, and whenever you have a drone, you tune your other notes towards the drone and you can improve your intonation that way. Then the forte section of this plays. I decided to re-emphasize the bass notes repeatedly because it's written multiple times, so I decided to do this. But if you choose to ignore it and just play this, where you just play the bass 1 time only, should be fine also, but that would be not consistent with this plays. So I guess re-emphasizing the bass is better interpretation. And then the second section is the trill section. If you have practiced Kreutzer and Rode etudes enough, then this trill shouldn't be a problem. There is like at least 12 to 15 etudes in Kreutzer alone dedicated to trills. So I suggest going to Kreutzer, practicing those exercises, and use a metronome to keep your tempo going. Once you're comfortable with that, you can come back to here and apply it straight away. When I was younger, I always had this habit of tensing my wrist whenever I do trill like this, which is a bad habit. Over time, you can injure your wrist that way also. Anytime you introduce tension into your joints, it's creating potential for injuries. So I suggest watching out for your wrist here. You should use this joint here for trills and not the wrist. Same goes for vibrato. I keep my wrist straight. I'm more careful now with everything I do. So I try my best not to bend my wrist when I do trills. Then the trill section is actually not that difficult. One place that gave me a little bit of trouble is this bar here. Because of this high position, but I changed the fingering to 1, 2, 3. And I brought my thumb higher than the violin body so that it does not block me, and it has been okay. So thumb over the violin body, go up, and you can reach those notes. And another place I foresee people having trouble are the octaves, shifting back and forth. For example, this place. I'm not blindly going to the octaves. I keep my index finger on the string because I use it as a guide for me to go to those positions. For example, here. This is 6th position. So on D string, 6th position is C natural. I feel C natural and I go straight to A. And I use finger octave to play the octave. So guiding finger to 6th position. Here I use B natural. So in slow motion. So I'm not blindly going to the octaves because guessing where the octaves are is almost impossible on the violin. It's better to use a guide from the previous position. And then the next part, same thing. Same thing. One last place for string crossing, where you have to skip. This string skipping section might be a little bit uncomfortable to play. Just watch out for your wrist on the right hand. Change strings using your wrist instead of the entire elbow, then it will be more comfortable. This is what I see a lot of young students do, where they change strings using their entire arm instead of smaller joints. So if you use your wrist here, I barely moved my elbow. One more time. So if you use your joints well, then these string skipping shouldn't be too much of a problem. So use your wrist to do big string jumps or skips. So let's see how many times I will have to play to get a good take for this Caprice. Sometimes the simple ones takes longer because you're more complacent, at least for me. When I play a simpler Caprice, I actually end up spending more time because I'm thinking I can do better. But most of the time, the difficult ones are the easier ones to record because I'm more focused.
Well, there you go, Caprice number 20 of Paganini, 24 Caprices. Not a difficult one and fairly fun to play, and I think the melodies are pretty nice. So highly recommend it if you don't know which one to start from. I hope that was helpful. See you next time. Bye.